Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. My name is Mary, and today I will be sharing with you my top 10 home building and home buying tips. So if you are interested in building a home this year, or you know of any friends or family members that are, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this video with them. Tip number one, know your credit score. So the reason why this is important is because that will also allow you to know potentially what type of loans you would be able to utilize in buying or building this new home. If you know your credit score and your credit score is in the 500s, then you're going to want to lean towards looking at what FHA loans are and what the rules are for FHA loans, because FHA allows you to have a lower credit score in comparison to a conventional loan, where typically on average your credit score needs to be at least in the 600s in order for you to get a conventional loan. So knowing your credit score is really important, and being able to know whether you're going to be able to use an FHA loan versus a conventional loan. If you are looking for ways to figure out what your credit score is or what the items are that may be affecting your credit, creditkarma.com is a good place. It's a free account. You can go ahead and sign up. They're not sponsoring this video, but you're able to sign up there, and it'll show you essentially your credit history. It'll tell you what your credit score is, and it will also tell you what factor affecting your credit score. Also, if you have a credit card, a lot of credit card company these days, they are including a component in their online account that allows you to see what your credit score is. So I think one of them is called CreditWise. So log into your credit card account online, or call your credit card company and see if they have any free credit monitoring service that comes along with you having that credit card. And then lastly, you have the option to also pull your Experian credit score. So you can order your Experian credit score. I will also say, Credit Karma, whenever you're looking at your credit score there, take it with a grain of salt that it may differ anywhere from 1 to maybe even 5 points from when you pull it on Experian, just because the time that that credit score is being pulled onto Credit Karma versus the time that, let's say, a bank or you personally are pulling it on an Experian report, it may be slightly different, but it shouldn't differ by much. Tip number 2, shop lenders and interest rates. So there is a website called bankrate.com. That is bankrate.com. When you log onto that website, you're able to click on the toggle and click that you're looking for, whether a 30-year mortgage, 20-year mortgage, 15-year mortgage, whatever it is that you're shopping for. And when you do that, it has a space for you to put in your zip code, and it will be able to search what bank rates are in your area. So it's going to show you a bunch of different banks and what their interest rates are for that day. So you are able to look at which bank is offering more competitive interest rates in your area and be able to make a decision that way. Please do not just assume that the bank that you bank with or that the builder's lender is going to give you the best interest rate. That is not always the case. A lot of times these big name lenders like Bank of America or Chase, Wells Fargo, they have built a following. They know that they have a name out there. So they don't always have to provide the most competitive rates to their customers. Whereas other banks that are not as known, or other mortgage companies that are not as known, they do need to offer more competitive rates in order for them to obtain business, right? So when you go to bankrate.com, don't be surprised if you see banks that you've never heard of or mortgage companies that you've never heard of. These are just smaller companies, but I assure you that they will be able to meet your needs. At least in our experience, that's what we've always done, and the banks have always been great. Tip number 3, pre-qualify with a lender and know how much house you can afford. So when I say how much house you can afford during pre-qualification, I'm going to say that with air quotes, just because when we go into tip number 4, I'm going to break that down a little bit more for you. The reason you want to pre-qualify with a lender is because they are going to look at your financial information in regards to how much income you have versus how much monthly recurring debts you have, and they'll be able to tell you on a maximum level how much house you can qualify for. And and what the potential payment on that maximum level would be for a mortgage for that house. They don't take into account things like property taxes when they tell you what that potential mortgage payment will be. So you want to make sure that you have a clear outline of what your work history has been for the last 2 years. And it's okay if you've been a student prior to that. You just need to document that and let them know that. They will also want to know, what have you done in the last 2 years in regards to your living situation? Did you own another home and what's the mortgage on that? Or are you renting a place? Because typically if you're renting, they won't pull that into your debt ratio just because they know once you buy this house, you're going to stop renting that property. When you're getting pre-qualified with the lender, they are going to look at recurring debt. So these are things like your student loan. If you have any child support or alimony, they will also look at any car notes that you have and any credit card debts that you have. So they will look at those items in comparison to how much you make on a monthly basis to be able to tell you how much you can pre-qualify for to be able to purchase a home. Tip number 4, set a budget. So this is really, really important. Let's say you went to go get pre-qualified and you were pre-qualified for $600,000. So they're telling you that $600,000 is the maximum amount of house that you can buy. Well, what a lot of people then do is go and start searching for a home and think, okay, well, I can spend up to $600,000, which really you could, but that is not smart money decision making. If you are being pre-qualified for $600,000, what I want you to know is that they are not taking into account the amount of money that you spend in your day-to-day and in your lifestyle. So whatever you spend on groceries, whatever you spend on eating out, getting your nails done, getting your hair done, lifestyle things, shopping, whatever you spend on health insurance, car insurance, things of that nature are not taken into account whenever the bank is pre-qualifying you for how much house you can afford. What you want to do is when you get what that maximum pre-qualification number is, if in this example it's 600,000, then I want to look and say, okay, Mary, how much am I spending on my day-to-day bills? Sit down with your credit card statement and look at the amount of money you're spending on other things are. So you want to make sure you have good account of how much your bills are costing you now, and know that now that you're purchasing a home, those bills are potentially going to cost more, and make sure you've taken account of that. So if I pre-qualify for a 600K house, then I may want to cap my budget at 450,000 just so that I have some wiggle room. Or I may want to cap my budget at even 500,000 just so that there's some wiggle room, because I know during the pre-qualification that they did not take my daily bills into account. So I want to make sure that as I'm creating my budget based on my income, that I'm leaving some wiggle room within that max qualification so that I can still afford my lifestyle in this new home. Another reason you want to set a budget is also going to be dependent on how much of a down payment you've already saved for this home. Some of us, we've been wanting to build a new home for a long time or buy a new home, and we've been saving for quite a while for our down payment. So for example, if I had $20,000 saved for a down payment, and I knew that I was going to use a conventional loan, which requires me to put 5% down, then the maximum I want to set my budget at when I'm looking at houses is going to be 400,000, because 5% of 400,000 is 20,000. So that way I know that I already have the down payment amount saved up for that house that I want. Tip number 5, save and don't spend your down payment. This one sounds like a silly tip, but I assure you it's not, because it's happened to multiple people. Sometimes you get into building this house and then you hear of another great investment or something, and you end up putting your money into it thinking, I'm going to get a higher return before this house is done being built. My advice to you is, unless you know it's a sure thing, and I don't know of many things that are sure things in life, but be careful. If you don't already have the amount of money that you need for the house, so let's say you have $20,000 saved up, but you actually decided your max budget that you want to spend on the house is $500,000, and you're going to be using a conventional loan where you need 5% down. So in that situation, you have a little bit more saving to do because you already have 20,000, but the down payment you need is 25,000. And so, you have to make up that difference. My advice to you would be to draw up a schedule, know how much money it is that you still need to save, look at your income, and draw up a schedule of how much you're going to save in each period to make sure that you will have that money saved up well before you're needing to close on that home. So if you already have the money in your account and the house is just not going to be ready yet, please do not touch it. Just kind of let it do its thing. It's already allocated for something. I would hate for you to have put all of your sweat and energy into making selections and building this home only at the last minute, not to have the down payment that you need to be able to close. So in this account is where you also want to make sure you are understanding what the fees that the lenders are giving you are, because outside of down payment there are also items called closing costs. So have an understanding of, on average, ask your lender that you got pre-qualified with, on average, how much are your closing costs, or what are the closing costs you see for homes in this price range, and they would be able to tell you, so that way you know what your down payment is that you need saved for this house, as well as what the closing costs will be. Now, if money is tight, also know that you are able to roll your closing costs into the total cost of the home. So let's say it's time to close. You were able to save the 25,000 that you needed for down payment, but you don't have the additional 8,000 that you need for closing costs. While they're running your final approval, your lender is going to ask you, are you going to be bringing the closing costs to the table, or do you want us to roll that into the loan? So they could roll that additional $8,000 of closing costs into the purchase of your home if you don't have that money to bring in. Tip number 6, understand your builder's base price. So, as you should know by now from our previous videos, the base price that the builder advertises for a floor plan does not include any upgrades. So unless you are planning to go into this community and build that floor plan according to, just with everything standard, which not a lot of people do, you will end up wanting to make 1 or 2 upgrades. So you really want to make sure that you pay attention and that you understand your builder's base price. So that base price does not come with any upgrades. If you know that you're going to be wanting to do any upgrades to this home, then you want to take that into account whenever you're selecting a floor plan. For example, let's say I pre-qualified for $600,000 on the maximum level, but I sat down and I looked at my bills, and the best thing for me to do was to buy a house no more than $500,000. So that's my budget, $500,000. The mistake a lot of people make is that when they're going into the community to look at homes, they look at floor plans up until that $500,000 cost. You don't want to do that. If you choose a floor plan which the base price is $500,000, more than likely you will go over budget. So if I know that the maximum budget I want to spend is $500,000, then I want to choose a floor plan that is as close to $400,000 in base price, or at the max close to $450,000 as possible. So that way I have wiggle room of at least $50,000 to be able to make upgrades, customize this home, and make this home feel like the home that I really want and still be within my budget of $500,000. Tip number 7, understand model home upgrades. So when you walk into a model home, everything's gonna look beautiful. And that is because that builder has upgraded so many things in that model home, from not just structurally with the floor plan and adding different spaces or different rooms, but also knowing that a lot of the tile work, a lot of the lighting, a lot of the plumbing fixtures, appliances, whatever that is, all of those things have been upgraded. So whenever you're looking at a model home, keep that in the back of your mind, because the last thing I would want is for you to feel disappointed when it's time to build your house, or you walk into that design center and realize, oh, Everything that I really liked in that model home was an upgrade. So those sheets that the builders give you, the spec sheet that show you what the standard items are in the community, I would advise you that as you're walking through that model home, have that sheet with you and look through it to be able to say, okay, so they offer this kind of appliance and this is the appliance that's in this home, and I know this is an upgrade. If they offer Whirlpool appliance standard and I'm looking at the model home and I see Thor appliances throughout, then I know that that is an upgrade. And I know that that's not the stove that I'm going to be getting, or that's not the refrigerator I'm going to be getting. Or if I'm looking at the spec sheet and there's no refrigerator there, but there's one in the model home, I need to know, light bulbs need to go off in my head because I'm not going to be getting a refrigerator in my home. So understand the items that are upgrades in the model home so that you don't get carried away. Tip number 8. Understand and research your floor plan prior to signing. This is very important because when you go into a community, not all of the floor plans that the builder offers are going to be pre-built models in the community that you can look at. So you really want to make sure that you do research on whatever this floor plan is that you're falling in love with on paper. Not everyone's great at reading a floor plan, right? Not everybody's able to envision what something's actually going to look like when they're looking at it in the paper form. So you want to make sure that you take the time to really study this floor plan. Ask your builder if they have a 3D model that you can walk through online. Ask your builder where is the closest location that this floor plan is built as a model or is under construction that you can go take a look at. So it might not be in your immediate city, but I do advise you to go ahead and make that drive. It's really, really important, especially if this is your first house and you're not really comfortable reading floor plans, or even if you think you're great at reading floor plans. I just advise you, if you have the opportunity, make sure you go to wherever that location is to walk through the floor plan that you think you're going to select. A lot of times, the first floor plan you fall in love with may not be the floor plan you actually want to build by the time you end up walking through the house. You may not realize from that floor plan that the ceiling height is only 10 feet in that floor plan until you go walk the house and realize, oh, okay, the ceiling height are 10 feet. I wanted 12 feet. That's not really what I'm looking for. So really, really make sure you take the time to do that research on whatever floor plan it is that you think you're going to select with this builder, or whatever floor plan it is that you think you want to go under contract with this builder. And of course, you have YouTube. A lot of people are posting their homes on YouTube these days. They're even sharing what the builder is and what the floor plans are. So search the name of your builder and search the floor plan on YouTube, and I'm sure you'll be able to get numerous hits on what you can see. Tip number 9, know and understand the time frame. So prior to COVID, when you go into a semi-custom or production neighborhood, a lot of times it was taking anywhere from 3 and on the maximum end 9 months to build a house. And this was from start to finish with you selecting the lot, selecting all of your upgrades and doing all of that great stuff. So we all know that with COVID, that has changed extremely. I'm still waiting for a fridge that I think was ordered last year. So guys, understand what your time frame is. Right now, what I'm seeing on average for semi-custom and production homes is it's taking anywhere from 6 months to a year for your home to be ready. So ask that builder what their time frame is. Go around homes in the community and see what levels and what stages they're in. Ask them if they have any shortages on any materials right now. Right now, there's a big shortage on brick. There are delays on drywall. So those are things you want to take into account, because when you're setting your time frame, if you're currently like in an apartment renting or something, you need to know when your house is going to be ready so that way you're able to plan your lease, or know that I may need to go sleep on my sister's couch for a month while my house is ready between the time my lease is up and when that house is going to be done. So that way you have that time frame in your head. It's also going to help you with planning your schedule when it comes time for closing. It's also going to help you to know how much time you have to be able to save and just be better prepared for the project overall. Tip number 10, which is arguably the most important tip: be patient and breathe. Please understand that things happen. Houses is one of the few things that are left that are still built by human hands. So understand that errors are going to happen. Sometimes things are not going to be perfectly straight. Paint colors are going to be slightly off. The drywall texture is going to be slightly off in some areas. I'm listing things that have been issues for me in previous homes. But understand that things happen during this process, guys, and just take it with a grain of salt. The best thing to do is communicate with your builder. So as you're seeing these things, as you're not comfortable with these things, be sure to take note of things you're not comfortable of in a notebook or in the notes section of your phone. Also take pictures of these items so that way you're able to email them to your builder and be able to have record of that information. And a lot of times the builders also know that these things happen and they will rectify those things that need to be rectified. So it's important for you to just try to remain calm during the process. Don't lose your cool. It's a long process, and buying a home is probably one of the most expensive ventures a lot of people take on. And so it's understandable that there's so much emotion and there's so much kind of just frustration that it's not going perfectly, but it's okay. In the end, you're going to move into that home and you're going to live there happily and things are going to be okay. And worst case scenario, you still have your builder warranty. So they will be fixing whatever issues it is that you are finding with the home. All right, guys, I know I said I had 10 tips for you, but I do have one additional tip. And that is find a trustworthy and objective home inspector. So at the completion of your home, before you do your final walkthrough, so ask your builder when they're anticipating they'll be done with the home and when they're anticipating the final walkthrough will be. And you want to make sure that you get your builder into that home to inspect it prior to that final walkthrough, so that way you can get that inspection report to your builder and you can also bring it along with you on your final walkthrough to be able to point those things out and have an understanding of when these items are going to be rectified or repaired in your home. Don't be surprised if some of these items are not completed prior to closing day. Just make sure you have an understanding with the builder or in writing what dates those trades are scheduled to come back into your home to repair those things. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any additional questions or any concerns regarding your home building process, please go ahead and leave a comment below. If you found this information helpful or you learned something new that you didn't know before, go ahead and drop a comment below because it could help someone else. If you are on a journey of building a new home, buying a new home, or you know anyone who is, please go back and watch the previous videos from this series. We do have a video on finding your perfect community and a builder. We also have the do's and don'ts of making upgrades in a new construction home. So this is our 5-part in building a semi-custom new construction home series. If you have any questions, as usual, please leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you guys. Until next time, Joy Fam.